Power Rangers in Space is considered one of, if not the best season of Power Rangers, and a great finale to the Zordon era. But I already talked about how it would do the previous seasons different, so let's give this a finale. Also, as a side note, I'll also do one for Lost Galaxy in the same way, but other than 2 crossovers. Up until Overdrive, we got into the era of Power Rangers being basically perfect, other than very minor things I wouldn't waste time doing a full video for. So anyways, at the end of Power Rangers Turbo, Dark Specter got a brand new, more powerful avatar, destroyed the command center, kidnapped Zordon and the Zeo Rangers. But the Turbo Rangers, even depowered, won't give up, so 4 out of 5 of them, plus Alpha, go into space to find Zordon. Meanwhile, in space, the Second United Alliance of Evil are celebrating their victory over the Rangers and Eltar. Divatox is boasting about her family and troops are the reason why Dark Specter has such a powerful avatar and able to hit the final blow towards the Rangers. Well, Rita says that if it wasn't for her, then they wouldn't have a contact with Dark Specter. This almost gets into a fight before the blast is caught by this new lady, Astronema, Princess of Evil, who's silent and intimidating. And then Dark Specter himself, the great Shogun of Evil, arrives, saying it's no time for inner fighting because they captured Zordon and the Zeo Rangers, and using their morphing energy, they're able to power a device to break through the barrier into the other world, and eventually Dark Specter will walk this world again. They toast, but someone in a hood doesn't, and it's a Power Ranger spy! Everyone's too busy boasting about how they're going to stop them to Dark Specter, so he's able to escape. Astronema speaks for the first time, saying she'll capture the Ranger. Meanwhile, the Turbo Rangers are in awe of space, until they get captured by what we'll later find out is called the Astronema ship. It has an AI called Deca. The Red Ranger is confused at these refugees, thinking they might be spies themselves. The ship is shot down and are attacked by what is referred to as Quantrons. The team wants to help, the Ranger says to stay put, but they go out to help instead, and get completely outclassed. So the Red Ranger has to go out and save them. He demorphs, and Ashley notes he's human. The Ranger introduces himself as Andros from KO-35. During the last battle of the original Alliance, thousands of years ago, human colonies were placed all over the galaxy to make sure that humanity wouldn't go extinct. He tells them about Zordon, and he doesn't really want them around, but he'll use them to help repair the Astronema ship and Alpha. They go their separate ways. What are you doing here? Alpha snuck on board to tell Andros Dark Specter is nearly freed and as powerful as ever. They need a Ranger team, and those guys are your best hope to save the galaxy. A second wave of Quantrons arrive, but so does Andros to save the team and give them new morphers.
Alright, let's rock it!
TJ's the new Blue Ranger, Carlos is the new Black Ranger. The team gets time to work out their new powers, but then gets chased into space again. Alpha's setting up the black box from the command center in the ship. Andros tells them to knock it off, but then suddenly the two ships combine into the Astro Megazord and are able to fight off the Alliance's ships. After the fight, everyone's a bit confused how both their ships are able to combine, and then they get a call from General Norquist, the head of Nasada, and it's revealed that Zordon and him are actually allies. And he's happy that they were able to meet up with Andros. It was actually him autopiloting both ships to combine. And don't worry about your identities on Earth, we have that covered. And we cut to, robots of the Turbo team, and because the government made them, they're a little shoddy, and their voices sound obviously robotic. They're obviously a lot worse than the ones that Justin made, but no one's able to tell the difference. Andros doesn't really like the idea of having them around, but he has to deal with them to find Zordon and save the galaxy, so gives them cool uniforms. Meanwhile, Dark Specter is pissed that a new Power Ranger team has formed, and tasks Astronema with destroying them, granting her the Dark Fortress, along with trusted general, the robot Ecliptor, the elite foot soldiers, the Quantrons, and the not-so-elite Craterites, along with generals from other factions of the United Alliance, like Goldar, and from the Machine Empire, the General Venjix. Ilgar wants to go too, but Venjix smacks him away, saying he's done enough. Meanwhile, Bulk and Skull's taken an internship at Nasada with Professor Phenomenus and studies aliens and this new morphine energy thing. Our new ranger for the season is Andros. He's a bit cold and distant for reasons we'll get to later. But he's also a strong leader who opens up more and more over the seasons thanks to Ashley, and by the end they're dating. TJ has an arc for the season that he feels like he failed his team and Zordon, getting everything destroyed. But thanks to the assurance from his friends, he's able to overcome it, growing to be a secondary leader for the team. General Venjix is ruthless and brutal. In contrast, a different robot, Ecliptor, is more of a dark knight for the villains, still doing bad things, but with a sense of honor, and he's always trying to pull Astronema to a more humane side. He's also the royal whipping boy from Astronema, so every time she fails, he's the one getting lashed out at. Astronema is cold and distant, but when she fails, she can get a little over the top. The monsters for the season are the Nefarians, who are normal people who are corrupted by Dark Specter's influence to get powers in exchange of losing their humanity and becoming monsters, mostly from the population of KO-35.
I know exactly what I am. I am your doom.
But it is possible to crawl back a little bit of their humanity. Even Andros has a bit of powers, having the Force. Ashley thinks it's really cool and wants to learn it, but Andros is very reluctant to actually use it because he's scared one day he'll become a Nefarian. Astronema loves power, being heir to Dark Specter because of how powerful she is, but Ecliptor helps her from going full Nefarian, appreciating the small things in life, like hair dye. And she drains a lot of her power by being the one who makes the monsters grow, kind of like Rita. And she gets these powers from her despair that her family was destroyed by the Power Rangers when she was young. And hey, Andros also has a missing sister, named Corone, who was separated after the planet was conquered. Later in the season, we meet Darkonda, a Nefarian who was actually the leader of KO-35 who betrayed his people to Dark Specter. He's gleefully evil, taking joy out of torturing others, like Ecliptor, being kind of the devil on Astronema's shoulder, always pushing her to bad, while Ecliptor is always trying to keep her humane, which of course leads to conflict. The Rangers' goal is to find their Ranger friends in Zordon, but every step they take into space, they have to go all the way back to the beginning with Earth getting attacked, or having to save a planet that just so happens to look like Earth.
We're gonna go check out a planet in the Dagobah system. We'll be back maybe a couple hours.
And given something unique for the season, given their colored bars on their chests, they're able to swap colors. It won't happen a lot because they don't have the Sentai footage for it, but it's just something cool and different, like their video game effects. Andros will often use black mode, while TJ struggles to want to be red again. In one episode, the Phantom Ranger follows a lead that Zordon might be on one planet, but it was all just a trick, and he gets moved, and the Phantom Ranger is ambushed, but luckily the Rangers get his distress call, and before he can adios out of there, he grants Cassie his whip, the Delta Megaship, which has its own robot mode, and machine gun fingers. He wishes them good luck on their adventures, as he has to worry about the rest of the galaxy, and Cassie's definitely still crushing on him. And of course, the two Megazords can combine, and they get a little wristband that helps them pilot it, that gives them a super punch, and Andros gets a super armor referred to as Battleizer, which is so powerful he gets a little carried over the head with it, so he tries not to use it too much. And with Nasada, they're working away. They can't get in contact with the Gray Titanus anymore because he's still in charging, but luckily using the destroyed remnants of the Talos Megazord, they're able to reverse engineer the Titanus 2, and it combines to make an Ultrazord. And during a mission, they actually uncover a bunch of captured Rangers, known as the Supersonic Rangers, that Dark Specter was using to drain their powers to free him. They help the Space Rangers deal with a Nefarian and Goldar, and it turns out the Supersonic team are aliens who are glad to help the Rangers and Nasada. Andros eventually discovers it was Darkonda that separated his family. So he takes a visit to the desert moon Onyx, that's an old west kind of town, a witched hive of scum and villainy. Andros is there to try and get information, where he finds out that his sister is alive, but he gets interrupted by Darkonda, who just smacks around the Rangers and steals the Delta Zord. But luckily the Supersonic Rangers help them out, and grant him a spare set of Zords known as the Mega Voyager, which is one of the best in the entire franchise. Kind of a spaceship Optimus Prime. Shooting a rocket at Darkonda, destroying him, and they hide the Zords out on one of Jupiter's moon, Callisto. But it turns out Darkonda also has multiple lives. And a rift in reality opens and crawls out the Ninja Turtles' next mutation, and you can absolutely bet your bippy that's going to get its own rewrite one day. Cowabunga! In the following episode, Carlos rushes into attack and accidentally breaks Cassie's arm. So he tries running in just by himself and gets smacked around, even going yellow mode and red mode. But he gets rescued by Adam. He tries training him to stop being so hot-headed and rushing in, but it's not that easy. Alpha is confused how he was able to escape, but Adam notes because Dark Specter is messing with reality and morphing energy, it's destabilizing reality so much it caused tremors throughout the galaxy. During one of these tremors, the Zeo team were able to escape, but they scattered. And Adam thinks with that energy all over the place, he could use his old powers. It works. Kind of, painfully. But Carlos learns a lesson to slow down and think before you do. Adam wants to go search for the rest of his team, as well as the Supersonic Rangers agree to help fix his Morpher and his Zords. Then after another attack, the team finds a mysterious new chamber with another Ranger in cryosleep. Andros finally starts explaining some things. Not long ago, KO-35 was conquered by the United Alliance of Evil, but him and his friend Zhane were able to escape eventually, and they founded a team to try and resist the Alliance. But during a mission, the team betrayed Zhane and Andros. So the planet they tried liberating fell. Andros lost his team, his original Morpher, and Zhane was nearly destroyed, and he's been in cryosleep for 2 years healing. Which is why he didn't want to work with the team originally. But then they get attacked, and the power fails, but the jolt of energy actually wakes up Zhane, and it turns out he's badass. Silver Ranger Zhane is this kind-hearted, goofy guy who's a bit smug, but he's also pretty good with numbers and military tactics. But on the other hand, he also has very violent emotional swings, and he's downright angry that a new team is here, because of the betrayal of the last one, which gets a little on everyone's nerve.
Put a cork in it, Zhane!
It's a bit of a manipulation by Dark Specter. Zhane also has telepathy, and also it's why his powers are failing after a few minutes, because Dark Specter is siphoning them. But Zhane does save Astronema when the monster rampages, and she thinks he's kind of fine, well, until he gets to the date late.
Hey, those were long-stem roses.
Well, you're late.
I wouldn't have been late if you wouldn't have sent any monsters. Can't we talk about this?
Well, she's still definitely into him. I mean, who wouldn't?
Let's rock it!
We eventually catch up with Storm Blaster and Lightning Cruiser being enslaved by Divatox, but Storm Blaster is able to escape. On Earth, Justin hasn't slept in a while, so worried about his friends in space. But luckily, the living car shows up with Larago, and luckily he was able to reform Justin's Morpher. They get to Nasada and they explain the situation, just as another rift in reality opens and copies of his friends from another dimension show up. Just as the Space Rangers found out about Lightning Cruiser, but it was an ambush by a bounty hunter named Roadburn. Him and Zhane have a motorcycle off, the motorcycle provided by NASA, and even joust, and even do it with the Megazord. And they have to deal with a Nefarian crab. Eventually getting overpowered and captured, but luckily the Turbo Rangers arrive. And it's like, whoa, that's weird, we're seeing double, what the? The team rescues the others. They explain the situation as Justin tries telling TJ that he didn't fail them. But Astronema casts a spell on the Turbo Rangers, causing them to fight the Space Rangers. But Larago is there and he tries casting his own spell to try and break it, which eventually works. And Larago knows the situation, so he casts another spell to break down the Battleizer to give all the Space Rangers their own Battleizer. So now in the right state of mind, everyone roll calls, and then we get a completely chaotic fight. The Turbo Ranger's able to summon their Megazord from another dimension, 2-on-2 battle, and they celebrate together, they find the robot copies of each other, and Asada sends them home. Alpha eventually notices the power leak and figures a way to clearly fix it is to get electrocuted so it's supercharged and clogs the hole. Around the same time, Andros and Zhane discover the KO-35 resistance they thought were destroyed long ago, but they just went underground. Zhane decides to help them out, so it'll be ever so reappearing. In the following episode, Astronema accidentally drops her necklace, and the two realize that they are each other's lost sibling. He gives her a shot saying she knows where Zordon is, but the rest of the crew is absolutely not about that, so she gets locked up, but Andros bonds with his sister talking about their parents. As Astronema's other two dads were battling, Astronema fakes capturing the other Rangers so they can sneak into the planet Zordon's being held on, but then they get shot down because the Dark Specter doesn't trust them, and they discover another set of Rangers that were captured in Zordon. Psych! He was moved months ago, and this is an ambush. Astronema tries telling them she didn't know anything about this, and actually helps fight off Darkonda, and Ecliptor even helps her, so the Rangers escape with their new team, Justice Wing. Dark Specter is turbo pissed that he has no more Rangers to siphon on, so he has Ecliptor and Darkonda fuse into Darkleptor, and from now on Astronema will take her punishments directly. She's no longer safe. With the Rangers, it turns out the Justice Wing Rangers are from another dimension who accidentally fell into ours. They try going back through the rift, but are attacked by Nefarians. The Justice Wing Rangers decide to stay and help, but they use the rift's opportunity to summon their 6th Orange Ranger, Zord, the Mega Winger, and give it to Zhane. Luckily it combines with the Mega Voyager to give it wings, and luckily it combines with the Titanus too. And what the? Another copy of the team from another dimension? Nope, these are actually other Rangers known as the Psycho Rangers, who are revealed to be Andros' original team, made stronger, faster, and more evil by dark morphing energy from Dark Specter, with only one goal in life: to destroy Andros and the Power Rangers. And they absolutely smoke the Rangers, and they're able to personally siphon energy from the Rangers to give to Dark Specter. But what Dark Specter doesn't know, Astronema actually made it so the Psycho Rangers are stealing energy from Dark Specter by using their Ranger forms and short hair. And she, with her new bandaged face and short hair, plans to eventually weaken Dark Specter enough to overthrow him. They have their own Nefarian forms, but they are able to turn back to human, and eventually split Darkleptor. The Rangers are having mega problems with them, but they just have to think a little more strategically, like going all blue to confuse them. Zhane disguised himself as a Silver Ranger to get in their contact, but he's a spy. When Ashley gets kidnapped, she rage baits Psycho Pink enough to blow them both up, and she escapes. Bulk threatens Psycho Black with a toaster, and he tries stealing the Mega Voyager, but they're able to get it back and have a 4 Zord against 3 monsters. But even after their defeat, Dark Specter starts feeling noticeably weaker. Then the bad guys sneak into a Nasada base and use an experimental data device to turn the Rangers into cards. They won! But the ghosts of the Psycho Rangers are not having this. It's either they kill them or no one. So they're able to reconstitute themselves, beat up Ecliptor, save the Rangers so they can kill them. But during this, Zhane saves all the civilians that were turned into data cards, and Dark Specter realizes what's going on.
In olden days, I would have rewarded your insolence with death 1,000-fold.
But Dark Specter is struck by a world-ending missile drill that was intended for Earth by Darkonda. But Dark Specter catches Darkonda, who's on his last life, and he swallows him before both of them explode. As the Rangers are able to trick the Psycho Rangers to become data cards. But in the next episode, the mega ship gets captured. So Dekka and Alpha have to play Home Alone against Venjix, Ecliptor, and Goldar. Andros and Zhane, after hearing about Dark Specter, go to rescue Corone. But when they find her, Astronema has now been possessed by Dark Specter.
Child, you have failed. The vessel has turned. We reign now as twin kings of ruin.
The day keeps getting worse because Ecliptor is supercharged by stealing energy from the Mega Ship, finding out about the base on Calypso, so he wrecks the Mega Voyager and the Titanus II and destroys the Delta Megazord. But not before they're able to discharge him. It's revealed that Zordon's been on the Dark Fortress this entire time, and Dark Specter rallies the troops and launches a full-on invasion of the galaxy, including Earth. You see Triforia overwhelmed, the Phantom Ranger and Blue Centurion are taken out, and Earth is just swarmed with monsters. The Rangers try fighting back, but they get overwhelmed. As the Mega Winger is destroyed, the Dark Fortress enters Earth's atmosphere. Dark Specter boasts to Zordon that it's the end of his era, but Zordon tries pleading with Corone to fight against Dark Specter. It only kind of breaks him a little. Rangers are exhausted and demoralized. But Andros refuses to give up on his sister and sneaks away, actually finds him, and Andros explains he's going after his sister, he might not return. But she says he will return, and they kiss. Civilians are depressed and question are the Rangers actually going to save them, but Bulk sticks up for them, saying they've never let them down before. The next morning, the people are gathered. Dark Specter demands the Rangers turned over to them. But Bulk stands up. The man who was once a bully who did things for himself finally becomes punk rock and stands up against tyranny, declaring that they are the Rangers. Meanwhile, Andros snuck onto the fortress and he's able to lock a bunch of minions into a room, and he finds Zordon. Andros tells Zordon he's going to get him out of here, but Zordon pleads with him, "Andros, please kill me." The centuries being stuck in the morphing grid, his body has accumulated so much morphing energy. By ending him, it will cause a shockwave known as a Z-wave, which will purify and destroy all evil. Andros refuses to do this. He has so much more to live for, but Zordon pleads with him, please. Meanwhile, the I Am Spartacus thing going on inspires the Rangers to reveal themselves. And also arrives are the other Rangers, here to help the Space Rangers deal with tyranny. The Space Rangers morph, there's a big colorful explosion, the Ninja Turtles are also there, so is Justin, and Bulk throws the first punch at a Quantron, starting the battle for Earth. Meanwhile, no matter how much Zordon pleads with Andros, he just can't help himself to do it. And Dark Specter finds him, and Andros also doesn't want to hurt his sister, but Dark Specter has no such qualms. So Andros tries dodging, but accidentally reflects a blast towards her. Ecliptor walks in and thinks that Andros just killed his adopted daughter, so fights him. As we intercut with the other Ranger teams fighting, along with the humans and the Aquitar Rangers showing up to help. But Andros finally works up the courage and strikes Zordon, sending out a Z-wave, destroying the monsters on Earth and spreading across the galaxy, purifying Rita and even Zed. In hindsight, he should be blue. Venjix and Divatox are running from the Z-Wave. They open up a pocket dimension, and Venjix grabs her shoulder and uses the force to throw her back and leaps into the dimension, leaving her to get purified. So the United Alliance of Evil is destroyed. But no time to celebrate because all that morphing energy accidentally helped Dark Specter to free himself. But all that morphing energy helped everyone also to summon their Megazords, along with a replica of the Mighty Morphin and Thunderzord, built by the Supersonic Rangers, so it's 5 against 1. In an epic final showdown to save the galaxy from the ultimate form of evil. But luckily the Space Rangers minus Andros are able to summon the Mega Voyager, so with 6 Megazord finishers, they're finally able to destroy Dark Specter for good. The Dark Fortress lands on Earth, and Crone has a delayed reaction purification. Why? Shut up, happy ending. A purified Rito throws a concert to raise funds to rebuild the galaxy alongside Cassie. Demetria finds her purified sister Divatox, and it's time for the two sisters to finally go home. Purified Rygar becomes a chef, purified Elgar and Porto go to school. Finster sculpts toys for the children of Earth. Ecliptor lived, and he's still best dad to Corone. Masada moves to take over the Moon Palace, as well as the Dark Fortress. The KO-35 rebels finally put down their arms and go back home. With the Space Rangers, Andros and family think they're going to stay behind for a bit. Just kidding, they're going to go have adventures with their friends. But the rift into the outer world made by Dark Specter doesn't close, and the professor discovers life in it. But let me know what you thought down below, as well as smashing the like button and subscribing if you're new.